I'll hand over autograph later, please. Right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a welcome. Thank you all for taking your time. I have just 10 minutes, so I'll just try to go through my presentation as quickly as possible so that if there are any questions, we can clarify later. My name is Mazdak Rafaty. I'm the chairman and co-initiator of AHK Startup Desk, and this presentation is about what we're actually doing and what we're about and what we have done. The idea actually is that Germany and UAE have ecosystems which are actually quite complementary if you look at it. So one has something that they actually really needs, right? And both of them, if you connect them, they can support each other. Basically, one has a lot of talent, which the other one needs. One has a lot of content, which the other one has needs. Then you have from UAE, you have a good startup ecosystem that is growing and ease of doing business, high level of digital awareness, and so on and so forth. So that's where the idea comes from in connecting basically these two ecosystems. Okay, that was a bit fast. So here we go. By identifying basically the ecosystems, we quickly saw that really there are topics that are being mentioned in both ecosystems that are really interesting, and starting from artificial intelligence, blockchain, renewables, healthcare, smart city, cybersecurity. There are already a lot of initiatives and programs running, but each one of them does their own thing, and there's no coordination. There's no support actually for the ecosystems to be closer to each other and to support each other and to complement each other. So basically, I'm happy to send you guys also later the presentation if you want it. No problem. So that's where the vision and the mission came from. So we actually, most of you might know that the German Chamber of Commerce has its outside international satellites, which is called Außenhandelskammer, or AHK, in literally almost every country where Germans are actually very strong. And Germans, as you might know, being former world champions in export, and currently I think second or third, they have a footstep in every economy. So AHK is a very strong partner to have, and that's why we actually brought the startup desk under the AHK umbrella. And the vision is actually really to become a platform, a leading platform for German and UAE ecosystems to basically get in connection with each other. And the mission is to create ideas, events, and so on and so forth. I'll tell you later what we have done within the last 12 months that we're active. The strategic advantage, actually, that UAE has to give, I don't have to tell this audience, this presentation is also for the Germans. They need to know that a little bit more. Basically, a population that is consists of more than 200 different ethnicities and has a very high level of digital awareness. Then you have on the government level, you have even a minister who's taking care of the digital advancement and AI and everything that has to do with new technologies. And if you see basically the infrastructure, I think we have 110% mobile penetration. Actually, I'm one of them who has 2 phones. So all together makes actually UAE a brilliant lab for any startup and any kind of a new technology coming up. Why? Because you can reach, if you're good, you'll reach 200 ethnicities, right, in short time with very high level of digital awareness population and a government that's going to support you. You don't have that anywhere else. Full stop. You don't have that. So the lab idea, I think, is very undersold internationally. And this is what we're trying to actually teach the German startups to basically recognize. And I'm going to tell you maybe later a little bit about what has also changed recently in the 6-7 months, which actually brings totally new areas of activity for the platform as I'm trying to develop it. We basically used the platform of the Expo. There were a lot of startups coming in and trying to get to know Dubai based on the Expo activities. And there were basically not only delegations that we hosted, but also the legacy of Expo 2020 was really interesting. And in the last Disrupted event, I also met with the lady who is actually heading the Expo 2020 legacy. Unfortunately, no direct collaboration has resulted, but we're still doing our best. We basically created a steering committee to be somehow independent also from the activities of AHK. And this steering committee actually does from creating programs, networking, mentoring, literally everything that really high-profile people can do for startups. And this is the steering committee as we have it right now. You might see one or two familiar faces here, predominantly this gentleman. Basically, each one of them is a very high-profile person and personality, or coming basically from a very active brand in the technology background. And together we have been working with different startup delegations to support them to come into the country. We created a small program just to enable German startups to come into the country. One of the biggest barriers that German companies usually have to come is basically the setup, the office, and where they can stay. These are basically the most, whoever lives here knows that these are the biggest cost blocks for a startup. That we basically partnered with one of the directors, I think, or members of the board of the AHK, Mr. Al-Amiri, who has one or two business centers, and he actually is giving us the possibility to host startups who are here and give them the opportunity to get an office and even under his licenses to operate. By the way, this is a program I'm happy to connect you to. This is not limited to us or German startups. If you have any kind of a need for that, please do get in touch with me and I'll connect you to Mr. Al-Amiri directly. What have we done? We actually hosted not only, as you can see, virtual delegations, but also in person. 2 delegations were here, hosted by our partner, PricewaterhouseCoopers, in a beautiful rooftop that they have. And we basically have been discussing how to host those delegations over here, how we can help them. Interestingly, a lot of green tech companies that actually came were very, very welcomed over here. And we actually, myself, I brought one of the companies who does recycling in the food and beverage area to UAE, and Michael, one of our steering committee members, helped to fund one of the companies, I think in around of $100 million. So also larger funding projects have been actually quite successful. I'm here to invite anybody who is interested to join us. We're very happy to collaborate on all levels. One thing that I actually wanted to again bring into your attention is that the recent developments in Europe have changed the landscape entirely and bring front technologies that are probably as interesting as ours, mainly in a blockchain scene, the circular economy. The circular economy is actually touching an entire sustainability ecosystem. And it's not only limited to tech, but also to production. Now, given the very high and exploding energy costs that we're going to have in Europe, those startups are going to have a huge problem on production level when they want to gain life. And this is actually a very interesting proposition that UAE will have to give to those tech companies to host them. So if you have any possibility in getting in touch with circular economy companies, there are amazing stuff out there. They're like, I'm in touch with a lady who had a beautiful presentation she showed this huge plastic continent on the waters that is near the, is 5 times the size of Germany. It's on the ocean. And she shows this huge pile of actually waste, and she says, but this is plastic. Somebody paid for that before. So it's money floating. So why do we just not tackle it? And what she does is she is creating enzymes that can actually turn plastic back to original resources that you need for the biochemistry. Now that is an energy-intensive technology. So she is already facing a challenge in Europe today, although they are actually developing it. All those technologies, including production and so on and so forth, could be a very, very interesting next-level technology development for UAE, and this is what we are actually trying to tackle also from the startup desk. My contact details are here. You'll find me on LinkedIn. If there's any questions I can answer, happy to be at your service. I'm still here for an hour or two. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mazdak.